because it's winter. Fall on my face. We walking out back to the tent garage. Back tent garage. And in that tent garage is a moped of sorts that I picked up last summer. And it is a barn find of sorts. I did not find it in the barn. Back to the tent garage. But the person I bought it off of removed it from a barn from, I think it was an elderly gentleman who was neighbor who passed away, or closing up, selling the house. I don't quite remember what the story was, but it was at the Amherst flea market. And I got there bright and early, and I think they had like, I want to say $200 on it. I think I got it for, I want to say $150, right around that area. And it is a puch, however you would like to say it, puck moped, 2-speed, and it came with all the owner's manuals and whatnot. It did turn over when I pedaled it, but it's been sitting for a long time. So it's the middle of winter, and I kind of like to knock these things out during this period of time, so that they are ready to go for spring. And I figure no time better than the present. I'm supposed to do a timing chain, a timing belt, and a water pump on my wife's car, but my back's a little sore. I don't feel like being bent over a fender and grill for 10 hours, so this is much easier to work on, and probably a little bit more fun to make a video on. So you can give me a few minutes. Brian's coming over, he's gonna help me push it up the hill, and I think the only thing we have to get out of the way is the trike. Maybe we'll do a cold starter on that and fire that puppy up and back it out of the way. Hopefully it starts. I don't know what I got for battery.
Plenty.
And we get a little bit better look at it. See what it's got for miles first, so we could tell. I think it says, you guys probably read it better than I can. I think it says 4,000, 5,000. It's right under the red. I guess that's the last time it was registered. Probably ridden. I think they call these snowflake wheels. Not sure. Snowflake, no. Don't be a snowflake. Please don't be a snowflake. What year is it? Snowflake means something else now. Date of manufacture. 10 of, I think it says 78. And it's got a 2-speed trans. Let's see if, actually I got to get up on the center stand to see if it'll spin over. Like somebody modified the, looks like the center stand might have been broken. They welded a tab on that one. Seat's a little pooched. Get it? Pooched. See what I did there? Yes, no? Well, that looks pretty complete. It's got a busted one of those. The on-off switch is broke. Oh, the deadly gas tank. It does not smell good. You guys smell that? No, it does not smell good. You can smell that. I can smell it from here. Oof. Now that might be an issue. That might be the biggest headache. Let's get up on the center stand and see if it will. That didn't make any chunks. There it goes.
Oh, compression.
Did that horn just make noise? I thought I heard an ant. So, motor's not locked up. That's a good sign. But definitely the gas tank and some other things be an issue. So let me go grab the manuals that I got that came with this, and we'll do a little looky-loo on those before we get into it. So this is the book that came with it. Probably worth more than the bike is. Not quite sure what that is. Now that is the bill of sale that's written out to me, and I think that's like a little handheld owner's manual. Oh, what's nice is I usually don't have this luxury. Is the actual manual, exploded view, and how stuff gets set up, and not that you probably couldn't find it online, but it looks like it's nice to have. Probably be better if it swapped hands now, wouldn't it? But so, was it two different ones? Is the Maxi and the Maxi 2 in here? What was the point of this one? No, same thing. That's cool. I'm glad I have that. As again, I usually don't have anything to kind of go by. So I guess we're going to start deciphering what we have, and you check for spark and kind of move on from there. But I might see if we can access the motor and hook it up so we can hook a drill to it and at least spin it instead of trying to get up there and kick it every time. So it's the next day. It's kind of cold out, about 13 degrees last night. Heat's on, garage is warming up. It's probably 40 in here, nice. I popped the cover off, the two screws that was on the side there, and it looks like where that red paint or Loctite is on that nut, we should have a good place to go and spin it. So I figure we'll go and kind of check for spark. Be our next avenue to go chase. So let's go see what we got. I thought that was loose. I have not done anything with this yet. I suspect it's probably not going to have spark, just because of the fact that it sat so long. But you never know. We'll use the drill to spin it. On the handlebars, the switches in the middle. I don't know what it has for kill switches on it, but we'll try the new Milwaukee out to spin it. Well, it does. Yeah, good. So I think we should probably dribble a little bit of fuel down inside the pee-pee hole and see if it'll fire over. This is two-stroke gas, and it does have oil already in it, so that kind of helps lubricate the upper end. That plug boot looks like it's had some homemade TLC, judging by the duct tape that's on it. Alright, think she'll run? Drill's not having it. Try it on low. Yeah, we gotta get ourselves a better drill. relocated you guys. Let's go see what that drill will do. Don't take the nut off. What to say? How long was it going to stay running for? I have no throttle. I don't think the throttle cable is working, or it's stuck in the up position. So that's good. That makes it real easy to start with. I think we're gonna go dig into the fuel system and go from there. So I popped the two covers off the side of it, and there's our nasty little carburetor. It looks like the choke. I don't know if you're supposed to spin that or pull up and down on that. I guess we're gonna go pull that out and find out. But I think the throttle is stuck in the up position. And when I pulled the covers off, there was a pump on the inside of one of them. Look at that. I hit a little tire pump. I guess that's supposed to be your fuse box. Looks a little on the sloppy side. And see what I do. Do our best to get that carburetor out of there and give that a soaking too. Let's see if we can get that air cleaner out of there. Got a hose in the back going somewhere. I guess that's for when you go through deep water, you don't suck up. No mice though. And let's see what we got for. I think we might need ourselves a little hammer. It's going. All right, I want to hear it. And we can roll that rod. Let's see if we can kind of give her a little push. Right about there. Feeling the bowl, which it is running into the thing. Might have to take it from the intake. Break time. So I took the two nuts off the intake. I'll take it with the intake, but I want to cut the petrified fuel line off. Hopefully it's not going to piss a bunch of stuff out. It just shattered. Hopefully I could just lift that up and out of there, and then we can kind of get to the I want to get this guy off. Get the slide out of it. And then we can get it up on the bench and take it apart. Probably want to soak this one for a long time. Judging by the smell of the gas tank, I would suspect the carbs are going to have a bunch of crap in it too. But 95, I think 95 was definitely before any alcohol was in the fuel, so it may be cruddy, but it might not be rotten. Come on, please come out. Yeah, I think the throttle cable's broke. Yeah, right. What's coming out right now? Throttle cable shot. Oh, right here. If you guys can see it, it's like a bunch of wire that's all over itself. Well, I guess we're not fixing that anyway, so we might fix it, but we're not using that cable. You guys see that? What a mess that is. and then the slide is stuck down inside there. But we can go over on the bench now because now it's free. We'll get the bowl off and we'll start disassembling this thing and see what we can do about cleaning it. Let's see if we get that bowl off the bottom. Carpet path to even get in there. It ain't feeling good. That might be just a drain. Don't think that's a nut. I wonder if the whole bowl threads on. I've never seen one like that, but nothing saying that it's not, right? What's that look like? About 14 millimeter, you think? Let's grab a 13 and a 14. 14. So that's how it's put together. Looks like it's cork, so at least we don't have to worry about it being sunk. See if you can push that pin out. That looks like that screw. This looks like it was a drain for it. Let's see if we could tap that pin out. Try to do this without blocking you guys. Yeah, that needle's stuck in there too. See if we can get under it. I do believe we're going to need ourselves a little carb kit for this one at least. Yeah, it's frozen right in there. See if we can slip it out from under it. Nope. It's so I would say definitely the death of this thing being ridden was that throttle cable being like that. It broke a couple of strands off, and then probably what it did is up by the handlebars. They finally snapped the end off of it because they weren't able to pull it anymore. So it would just idle. So that's probably what the last thing this thing was ridden for, which is good. It's nice to find that instead of something, you know, blown up in the motor. But sorry, engine for some of you. All right, let me see what I can kind of go do with that, getting that free, and turn it back on. Of course, as soon as I went to go tug out underneath the microscope, it moved up a little bit. There we go. It's like sawdust on it. So I think my best bet is probably going to be to soak it in the carb cleaner can for quite a while and see if we can get that main jet out. Let me do a little bit of cleaning on it. don't know if I want to take that O-ring out of there or not. If it goes into fluid, it usually goes to crap. Let's try peeling on it a little bit. Trying to keep you guys in the camera and keep it so I can look through my little magnifying glass at the same time. I don't want to subject the seal to the fluid, but it depends if that seal is shot. Yeah, it's going to come out in pieces, so I'm going to have to leave that alone. Talking about the bowl seal right there. Alright, I can get some compressed air, clean that up, see if we can get the jet out of the center of it, and then we'll see about soaking it. See if I can get that jet, main jet out of the center. I took a wire wheel to it just to kind of clean up the threads so I could see them. That's where the fuel gets sucked up through, right through what I'm taking out right now. And that, it's showing, is definitely totally solidly packed. Nothing was going to come through there. Now, that has to come up out of there. That's the slide. And then that slide has a pin in it, which meters how much fuel comes out. Let's go and see if we can get the air fuel mix screw out. That was just idle. So the idle stops that slide for how far down it goes. Let me spray a bunch of, what do I got? Probably PB Blaster might be my best bet. Let's see if we'll let that kind of help free up. Let me get this spring out of our way. And I don't know, maybe a little pair of vice grips. We'll put on the cable, see if we could tug up on the cable. I don't want to break the end off though. Because that's our saving grace right now, is that we're still connected to it. And this is supposed to slide up and down like butter. Watch, they make like a China carb for like 15 bucks for this thing. That's frozen. But what I can do, if you can see it, get a light down in the center of it. Can you see the bottom of the slide? Let me see if we can get under it with a screwdriver and we'll push up. And that's really frozen. Should be able to get this off. Let's look at it from the other end. Yeah. We could spray it better though. That kind of soak in. But I think that might be my best bet. I'll try to find the largest screwdriver I can get to fit underneath there and try prying up, and at the same time I'll use the pliers to pull on the cable side of it. So I soaked it in the carb cleaner for a while and it's still kind of jammed. We're going to give it one last effort. I'm going to try putting a screwdriver on each side of it and see if we can kind of... I have never had one this jammed before. feeling that this guy might be done. Oh. It moved. Woohoo! I'm gonna say it's gonna come out, but it did move. Just when you start writing it off, right? It decides to do something. So let's see. Can you see? Through it a little bit more. All right. Let me go and see if we can work on that. Get that guy out of there. Well, that did sure put up a fight. And I expected to see much more corrosion on it than what's actually there. A little bit right there. I don't know if it was the pin. Here's the pin. Whether that was jammed and just kind of stuck into the jet. I looked through the carb. You should be able to see through the center of that, and you can't. So that's still plugged up. That needs to be addressed. But at least we're able to get it apart now. So I may or may not be able to get that center tapped out of there. I'm not sure. I'll try. See how that goes. See if that can kind of come out and clean that out. If not, we'll do our best to clean it inside there. See what happens. But yeah, I sure put up a fight. Kind of marred it up a little bit, but I think it should be fine. This is the surface I was pressing on with the screwdriver. I was afraid that, let's say if it was like that I was gonna gall up the end of it and never get it out of there. But between pushing there and there, finally it popped. Never give up till it's over. Never over till it's over. Alright, let me see if we can get that center clean now. Okay, so I've been bouncing around and I'm not sure where I left off, but I got the carb kind of soaking, and let me get that out of there. I need it for demonstration purposes. So what I found is there's 3 different horsepower types, and there is the specs going across are pretty even as far as the bore and stroke of the piston, but what I found, what stood out a lot other than gear ratio, is the bore of the carburetor. And this one is on the smaller side. It is a 1-12, and I believe that's 12 millimeter is the inside hole. And then they have a 14 for the, I think, there's 3 sizes: 1 horse, 1.5 horse, and 2 horse. The 1.5 and 2 have a 1-14, which is a larger carb. I looked on eBay, they sell a 15, but I'm not sure if there's any other issues with restriction that is causing it to maintain that 1 horsepower. I would think probably inside the exhaust, but anyway, here's what I want to show you, is that the bore, that's the bore of the ID of the intake is larger than the carburetor, and the ID of the carburetor and the intake is still sitting in there. I measured that intake. It is also larger than the carburetor. So I'm kind of wondering if I could just get the larger carb and switch over. And again, what the problem is, the 1 horse is set up to do 20 miles an hour, the 1.5 horse is set to do 25 miles an hour, and the 2 horse is set to do 30. Now, you definitely want the thing to try to do as fast as it can. So if this carburetor is kind of iffy, I wonder if I can just switch over to the larger carb and go from there. And I also don't know if I need to switch out the intake also. I don't know if that's going to be a restrictive point, because that's how it attaches. But that even looks kind of small. It looks like the when I measure the intake, it's a larger. I just don't know what the width of the larger carb, if this part is the same. Anyway, so that's that. So I'm not quite sure what I have. I did a little bit of homework. I went on the old internet there, and this being a 2-speed setup, inside here there's a warning that there's a type of dampener, they call them pucks, on second gear, and basically what it is it's a two-piece, the inner and outer part of the gear, and what connects the two of them is like three little rubber pucks that when you shift, it takes the hit out of it, and what happens is that rubber deteriorates over time. Instead of it having that kind of dampening action, it just goes metal on metal, and what will happen is it'll shear the teeth. And they said any bike sitting over 20 years, generally they're pretty much shot. Not that they're hard to do, but anyway, so that's inside here, so I have to go inside here anyway. And also it said another way to tell is you can count how many teeth are on the different like clutch gears and second gears. Will indicate what horsepower rating the motor is. Again, I'm not quite sure on the carburetor if it is or isn't. So I want to go in there anyway, take care of that puck issue, and if I have to order them, I'll order them, and we'll take a look. So I figured I'd just give you the backstory on it, and let's go digging. Let's see if we can get that cover off of there. These screws are just need a little help to get them to crack loose. Those who don't know, this is an impact hammer. And what it does, it drives the bit inward and it turns it at the same time. So it kind of helps to keep it from ripping out by doing. Put a regular screwdriver on there. Watch this one just go. But that one went. But it keeps it from ripping out of the hole, essentially. So I want to get it. Fluid should piss out of this. I think there's supposed to be like ATF in it. Could be nothing in it. I think that's a fill plug. I don't think it's a drain. Could be nothing in it, right? You never know what you find. It's starting to look that way, isn't it? I was hoping to leave the screws in it and just let it kind of crack loose a little bit, like you're doing an oil pan or a transmission pan on a car. Let it, like, you know, piss the fluid out and then control them out. Not that I don't think there's all that much supposed to be in here. Yeah, a bunch of washers. Put those to the side. Shims. And it's got, I think, like a first and a second gear over here. That's the clutch. And back, I'm sure if you guys are looking at what I'm looking at. Back in here is second gear. And there's this plate that comes off. Might even be that plate right there. I think actually it's the back side. There's a plate that comes off. And in between there's the rubber little pucks that connect that part to that part. And they're just little dampeners, and that's what we're kind of looking into. But I want to see if I can go count gears first. I think it said possibly the clutch gear. So it can be either, I think it's 13 or 16 is the difference. I'm not sure how somebody just come right out. Anyway, let me go look into that. So I counted the teeth on what's coming out of the clutch, and there's 16 teeth going around on that guy. And what I had looked up, get a pointer. What I looked up is the clutch drum. You got 13 teeth and then 16. So it is a 1.5 to 2 horsepower, which is good. That's makes it so it's the better of the two motors, because they say the only difference between a 1.5 and a 2 let's see, 2 and 1.5 versions have the same internal gearing and are differentiated by stock top end, whereas 1 horsepower has different internal gearing, and you can identify the version you're working with by counting the clutch teeth, which we just did. So I think the only thing that can be different on this motor, it'll be at least a 25 mile an hour setup, but with putting probably a better carburetor on it and opening the exhaust will probably allow it to go to the 30 that the, you know, and above from there. So I wanted to start working at getting into that clutch and looking at what's going on there. So I'm going to see if I can take some of this stuff apart. Anyway, see what that looks like. One guy said he made his own. Possibly we can do that, or if we can find them online and they're cheap enough, we'll go ahead with that. Also, they to get a little bit more acceleration out of it, what they do is there was automatic transmission fluid in before. They go with like a 1030. The thicker oil makes it so the clutches, I think, are slower to go out or something. But we will refill it with that and see how it works. But again, let's get into where the pucks for the pooch. Alright, so I took the outer gear off. It's a reverse thread, and I used an impact gun. I don't know if it's supposed to or not, but it's got little barrels that have to go back into place when we put those back on. That goes back like that, and then the barrels get set back in. And then took the clutch drum off. Don't look too bad. There's the clutch material. So now I gotta get this nut off. It looks like someone's actually been in here before. I don't think that chisel mark there is kind of factory. So I think we have to get that off so that we can get this assembly out. And then once that assembly comes out, we could take those screws out and look at it behind there. Can you see the play? A little screwdriver, there we go, my little pointer. So this is independent from this, and I don't know if it's probably right where the screw is. Maybe there's a rubber isolator. I think you can see it through that hole right there. I guess over time they get brittle, and after you shift a bunch of times, they fall apart. And what happens is, see how it's able to move in there? It'll hit from metal to metal, and that looks like it's got a decent amount of play in it. But you also would think you would see rubber maybe spitting out the bottom a little bit. I don't quite see that. Alright, well, let me get that guy off of there. I don't know if anything. I don't know if we're gonna need a puller to get after that. A special puch tool. But let me get that off of there, and we'll just see if that just pulls right off, and then we'll get to that guy. Coming off one way or another. So I don't know if that one's going to be clockwise or counterclockwise. Let's try counter. Yeah. That was easy. Yeah, that's the way that comes off. You guys going to pay attention now they came apart? Two clutches. Alright. Well, were they indexed together, apart? I don't remember now. I don't know if it matters. I do believe they're offset though. Alright, can we get this guy out now? That's not the gear they were talking about the count, was it? No. So those are the 3 screws we got to get out. And that just goes across the motor to the output shaft for the sprocket. Alright, so I think we gotta put that up in a vise, kind of hold it pretty good, and I think we have to put heat to these because I believe they have Loctite on them. Somebody might have been in here already though, because I do see like a little bit of beat upness to the screws. Alright, before I put heat to them, I want to try the impact driver on it. See if that'll do it. Yeah. Alright, so we're going with that. That one's already loose. Good thing. Well, maybe we'll find something that already been repaired. And ready for the drum roll? So those are what are supposed to crap out. And of course, you know, if I didn't look at them, they'd be fine. I mean, they'd be terrible because I looked at them. They're not busted up. That's what they're supposed to do. Stress test? Okay. I think they're fine. I think if you could beat on with a hammer. Kind of cool how that works though, huh? So I guess when they shatter, it just, they'll hammer metal on metal. And what happens is you strip the gears out between here and the other smaller one. I don't see any cracks or anything in those. I bet you probably hear it too. Well, we know how to get in there. We wanted to change the oil. I wanted to count the teeth. And I wanted some peace of mind. And again, those guys are supposed to be tight. And I think one of them was loose. So I got to clean them up and put a little bit of Loctite on them and put that back together. Let's close her back up. So I got those back in. Actually, not that bad of a deal. Kind of a weird setup though for a bearing, huh? But those went back in. That's pretty much what they do. So now the outer side of the case supports these two shafts, and then there's some shims in between. And fortunately, they did not go flying all over the place. They are pretty much where they're supposed to be. So we could actually put those on there. And then put the cover on. But I got a tear in the gasket right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of clean this up right around where that gasket is. And put a little bit of a sealer there. I'm going to leave the rest of them, I'm going to leave alone, I think. It didn't have any gasket sealer on it before. And we may be back in here again, so I don't want to glue it to the point where I can't get it apart. Alright, so I got the carb back together. And if you can see the slide inside there. I had to Scotch-Brite the inside of the barrel and the slide itself. So that came back, the choke, clean that up. It's got a plate that blocks off. The choke up is off, remember that. Kind of bent the float back together. Seems pretty good. I can't blow air through it that way, flip it over. I can blow through it. So I'm going to go put the bowl on it next, and we'll button that up and still make sure that I flip it over, that the float shuts off and still works. Everything else has been cleaned out of the inside of it. But I guess we could probably put that on and put a external gas tank on it, and we should be able to run it. Should. So I think we're pretty close to firing it up. I have oil in the crankcase on the other side for where the clutches were. The carb is put back together. I got a piece of fuel line on it. I don't know if you can see it. A yellow fuel line, and then my bottle's just kind of sticking in there. And I think the fuel is right up to there on the lines. It should be enough to run it for a little bit. And throttle, I made a cable up. This is our throttle. So we can kind of rev it. We'll get an idea what the back tire and stuff does, the transmission, see if it hears, if it shifts gears and all that kind of stuff. And if there's any other issues, it should be enough to warm up and idle and run. So shall we? Choke is down. Runs. Doesn't run good, but runs. The carb is running way too lean. I'll open the door. Say goodbye to the heat. Yeah, the carb's running way too lean, but that's okay. I just want to make sure everything else is alright. I was trying to put the brake on and have it have drag to see if it was shifting through the gears. Again, without riding it down the road, it's kind of hard to tell. But I think I might do a little bit of homework and see what we can find for a carburetor on that. If I can order the next size up, I think they're fairly cheap. They're like 25 bucks on eBay. And if that's the case, it may bring the performance up and cure its woes. But the other part is I could take that the main jet out and open it up. It was totally clogged. I didn't show it on the film, but I had to take wire brush and poke through it, keep stabbing through it and stabbing through it. And the vice grips. And finally got it where I was able to drill through it. but I don't know, it's such a very tiny hole, whether I got to open it up or if I just poked the wire through it and it's too small because of that. So I'm just not sure. So, with that, I think at least we know that it's a decent system to work with and I can spend some money on parts. I saw something fling out of there. That was like plastic or something. Not sure quite what that did. If anything. Anyhow, so I think I'm going to wrap it up right here. And we can call it a day. I'm going to do some more shopping for this. And I believe it should be a good running machine after it's all said. So, again, guys, thanks for watching, comment, subscribing. Hey, I'll catch you on the next video. See ya.